So like athletes that really do the same thing, I think it's really valuable to like do hybrid stuff. Like my training is kind of like I run, I do CrossFit, I go on a swim. Some days I just walk. Sometimes I do yoga. Sometimes I bodybuild.
Good day, everyone. Welcome back to the Hybrid Fitness Media channel. I am your host, Matt B. Davis. Today on the program, a nice little interview with Mal O'Brien. She finished second in the 2022 CrossFit Games behind Tia Claire Toomey. She has since stepped away from CrossFit, perhaps temporarily, perhaps not. She's just taken it as it comes, as we learn in this interview. And of course, how it went on her first HYROX. Let's get into it. Away we go.
You are in Hawaii, which I did not know you moved to, but now I know you moved there.
I am in Hawaii.
I mean, it's almost silly to say why would one move to Hawaii because, well, it is Hawaii, but what was there was there 7 options and like Hawaii was one, or was it just like I'm leaving and Hawaii is the destination?
Well, it's just a temporary place for sure, but it is like I just wanted to change scenery for a little bit. I hate winter, so it's very cold in Iowa. And I have been out here a few times. I know people out here, and it was just kind of like one of those why not things, something I wanted to experience.
Yeah, again, why not? It seems hard to argue with.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about Houston HYROX for sure. I want to know how many weeks ago you decided this was something you were going to go mess around with.
Um, I would say I kind of like so I worked out at like a Lifetime gym in Des Moines, and one of the like personal trainers there came up to me and was kind of like, "Have you heard of HYROX? Do you ever want to do it?" Like just kind of like putting it in my brain. Like I'd never really heard of it. And then like I kind of just like shrugged it off. I looked into it, but I was like, nah, like I don't want to do that right now. And I think like all the races for last year were kind of like done. So it was just like maybe next year type thing. But I did start running a lot. That's been kind of like my form of exercise the past few months. Just something I've really enjoyed and something I used to hate and I was pretty bad at, and I've gotten better at it. So that's just satisfying. And then I kind of like the new year started and I looked kind of more into it. I was just like looking at it if it was more curious, or like I was curious about if there was any races like in the US at the beginning of the year, just anything like that. And then I saw Houston in March. So I was like, okay, that could definitely be doable. So I would say I probably like trained for it like starting in January. I didn't really switch a ton of stuff up. I only do CrossFit like twice a week right now. It's just mainly like running and like bodybuilding, and I just kind of do a little bit of everything, but mainly running. So I knew I'd be in decent shape to go do it.
What kind of mileage are you doing during the week these days?
Like 30 to 40 miles.
And is that like what's the longest?
Um, I just have an 11 miler yesterday. That was pretty tough, but um I'm I don't really keep a ton of track of that, I guess. I just run.
So is this, I mean, I assume this is a lot of freedom compared to what your life's been like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just kind of comes down to like not following a program, really.
Right.
And so it's just like me being able to listen to my body and do things that don't make me anxious.
I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Um, so, speaking personally, I have also suffered with anxiety, and I wasn't diagnosed. I was diagnosed bipolar very late in life. And so I feel like it's great that there's so much focus on mental health
Yeah.
because I mean, as a kid, it's just why does the world seem so like overwhelming, right? And then
Mm.
as an adult, you're just sort of like forced to deal with these things as they come. So I think putting it that succinctly makes a lot of sense. Like, what do you do to train? The things that make me the least anxious, the things that
Yeah.
make me feel free.
It's really just like doing what you want. Like something I've learned is like your body will always tell you kind of what it needs, what it craves, and what it like it's the same thing as like a hunger cue. It's like I'm hungry right now, I'm gonna eat. It's like I wake up and I'm like, okay, what sounds fun? Like, how do I want to exercise today? And your body kind of tells you, like, I want to go fast, I want to go slow, I want to do this or that. Like, it's just like really learning to listen to your body.
When it came time for you to make the decision to step away, was it something you wrestled with for months or years, or was it more like whatever your mental health kind of got to that you were like, oh, okay, this is easy, I'm gonna step back? Or did you really have, was it years of like not wanting to let people down and that kind of thing?
Definitely months. I wouldn't say years.
Okay, that's good.
I did like I was in love with the sport. I had a really strong passion for it and I had goals I wanted to achieve in it. And, like when these thoughts kind of first came up where I was like, I'm struggling, like training's really not fun and all this stuff, like I made the adjustments to get through the next few months and kind of just like honestly just like made it through. Like that type of thing. And when it came towards the end, like when I stopped last year, I wouldn't say it was much of a choice. It was just like forced, like something that my body was like, you cannot do this anymore. My mind was done. Like I was stuck, and the only choice I had was to like heal and recover from that. And like I couldn't, there was like multiple days like I couldn't train or I just walk in and like have a breakdown. Like I couldn't do it and I just wasn't there. And I think like at the time it obviously felt like such a weakness for me and I was like embarrassed by it and I was like I don't understand why this is happening. Like it was just really confusing and now looking back on it I think like mental health is one of the things that can really be looked at and like unless you've gone through it you can't really have your opinion on it because you don't like honestly if you don't like experience it for yourself how are you going to tell me that I'm weak or something like that like it almost like it just makes you mad you just kind of like why are these people telling me that it's weakness or just push through like when if they were in my position I guarantee you they couldn't. It's just something that I really had to like that I'm content with now, I would say.
Yeah, and I think the other part is that humans, without like pointing the finger and telling people they're bad and wrong, but they also are kind of asleep to it because they've checked out through drugs, alcohol, shopping, name
Yeah.
it, right? Food. And
Hmm.
so like they have a low level anxiety that they've always fed. And when you're really waking up and not doing that, and you've got to really like through it, then it's a different story. And again, I can speak personally.
Hmm.
And I have a lot of close friends, like in 12 step programs and all the rest of it. So um, I just know, I just can imagine how hard it must be when it's a public situation, because obviously a lot of eyeballs on you and the pressure. And, again, living in the time that we live, that you or Haley or Simone Biles even like could actually, because that was never a possibility. If you were an athlete, forget it. Like if you were especially starting young like a gymnast, you were just kind of like that was your life. And we did not allow for that, we as a species. And so we put through people through a lot of pain for our own, you know whatever country or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it is definitely one thing to start the sport so young and have so many eyes on you. And that was like one of the worst days last year was having to announce it to everyone that I wasn't competing. And like that was so heavy on me because I knew the opinions that were to come. And I was just like, of course there's hundreds and hundreds of supportive comments and messages and all this, but then it just takes like one or two for me to be like, everyone hates me and all this stuff. Like it's just because you just really have to like I was just so like in tune with myself at the moment and knew what I wanted and like no one was gonna change my mind in that. And so I just had to keep coming back to that, even though there was so many opinions and all of that out there.
Do you have to stay offline sometimes?
Yeah, for sure. But I think like I've always had such like a supportive group of people and like in my small circle or my friends and my family, like I know that I am so supported and loved and they just want me happy type thing that it's like, okay, am I really gonna let this loser online like ruin my whole life? Like it's just not worth it. But of course, like it still gets in my head sometimes, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I just need to not be online right now.
So do you even program, and I use the word program loosely, but like even decide like tomorrow is a this day, maybe Friday I'll do this, or do you just wake up and literally go with what your body feels like?
I think like I did used to do that because it was really hard for me when I stopped to kind of like know how to exercise again without like I didn't want to train 8 hours a day, but I didn't know anything else. So like last summer I was still kind of doing a lot because I was like afraid of letting it go and all this stuff. But like now I do kind of have like, especially with like my running and stuff, like running has really taught me like the different paces, the easy runs, the long runs. Like it's just like something that's really helped me exercise, honestly. So now I do kind of have like long run days, interval days, easy days, like that type of thing. Um, but like when it comes down to like CrossFit, I just kind of am like, do I want to do it today?
So for HYROX, knowing it's something you want to do for fun with
Mhm.
Cooper, like, hey, we're just going to go out and do this. When you step on the starting line, do you feel something like, okay, well, I thought I was just going to do this? Or, Cooper's not elite. No offense to him, but like he's not, right? So it's just like, okay, I'm doing this with my buddy. And so whatever happens, it's going to be fine. Or did you find yourself like looking at the competition, and what was that experience like getting on the competition floor, quote unquote?
Yeah. I was honestly a bit worried about it like the Thursday before because like someone had posted me like Mal O'Brien's going to High Rocks, like all this stuff, and like it really was never that deep or serious. I was just like, I literally just signed up for it and just wanted to do something else for fun. And like I can proudly say that that weekend was super fun and like I didn't feel like I stepped on the starting mat and I was calm. I was excited, which is like new to me. And like I think the partner aspect definitely helped a lot. Um, it was definitely smart for me. Like I didn't want to go out and do one by myself because I knew that the pressure would come with that. And I just like I'm not ready for that right now. And I knew that. So yeah, like me and Cooper, we just threw down and had fun and it was a great workout and like that's what I took away from it. I was like, sweet, I just got an hour long workout in a fun way with one of my friends.
Yeah, and I think what's great about HYROX is it really is, CrossFit is very intimidating to a lot of us, including me, right? So you nobody wants to be the new kid anywhere, right? Even if it's yoga, right? Like
Yeah.
which doesn't require massive, but like, oh, am I doing this movement wrong? Or just go to a class you've never done before and feel like the new kid. It sucks, right? So CrossFit can be extremely overwhelming. And I think that's why these guys at HYROX, and you've probably heard of DEKA FIT as well, have been like, okay, where can we meet people with literally anybody can do it? And it's
Mhm.
just a matter of, do you finish in an hour? Do you finish in 3 hours?
Yeah.
And so, the first one I did, I had never touched a ski erg in my life. And I
Hmm.
was just like, oh, what do I do with this? You know what I mean? Because I was a runner and I just did body weight stuff mostly because I did obstacle races. Just never been a gym guy, right? So I think you can see why it's kind of blowing up for those reasons.
Yeah, for sure. I think like something cool with HYROX also is like there's always new kids. Like people just sign up and it's not like intimidating in that way. I think it's just kind of like you just go and do it. Like it has like a sign and you're like station one, skier, like okay. It's just that type of thing. So yeah, I definitely didn't like I was like a little nervous for the whole like how the rundown went, but like after the first two rounds, I was like, oh, this is great. Like let's just do it.
I assume at CrossFit and Whatapaluza, you might get like legit mobbed. Did a lot of people recognize you in Houston?
Surprisingly, yeah, I was not expecting that. It was really sweet though. Like everyone was super kind and it was just really cool to like walk into a new space and know that I've inspired athletes that aren't in CrossFit.
So when it came, did you guys have a, okay, I'm gonna do this percentage of the work? Or how did you
Um,
guys decide to split up the workouts?
we basically just like forced everything. So like if it was like 1,000 meter skier, we just switched every 250. Um, Sled, we just did like you go down, I go back, you go down, I go back. Like nothing too crazy.
And so when you finished and they said, "Oh, by the way, you're third," was it just like, "Oh, okay, cool"? Like it didn't really matter?
Yeah, I think the person that beat us was by like 10 minutes. So we were like, okay. Like, I can't even compete with that.
Right.
Um,
Um,
so yeah.
so I mean, a lot of people, even when they're not, like I said, even when they're not competing, they sort of can't, turn it off. Because I've said that to people for obstacle racing, which is where I come from, my physical activity, and I talk to people all the time, and I'm like, they're like, "Oh, I'm not, I wouldn't be good at it." And I'm like, "Well, that's fine. You just do it for fun." And they're like, "No, no, no, I know myself." And these are not 1% elite CrossFit athletes. These are just regular people, and they
Yeah.
really have a hard time turning it off. So for you, is it like, okay, we'll do another one of these when it comes around? I mean, I don't think it's going to be in Hawaii anytime soon, but they should be, if 4 or 5 in America next year.
Yeah.
Although you
Uh,
might be closer to, I don't know, aren't you closer to the other side of the world? I'm
like
bad at
Japan,
I'm bad at geography. How close are
yeah,
you to
kind
Australia? Is
of.
it still really far?
I actually have no idea.
Let's go to Google Maps. What do you think?
Yep. I know I'm closer to like Tokyo, that type of stuff.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like you could go to the Japan
Yeah,
HYROX.
I could do that.
Would that be something you would do or no?
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Okay, hang on a second. We'll pull up the Google Maps here because they're literally launching in new countries like all the time. All right, can you see this?
Yeah,
There you are. That's your tiny
there I am.
dot. Okay, so you are. Here's Australia. Let's see. Let's choose Sydney.
Oh, I'm definitely closer to that.
Sydney. You are how many hours flight? Let's see. Uh,
One day,
1 day and 2 hours. Okay, that's a long flight.
that's horrible. But
Oh,
it's closer than
well, oh, that's because you're connect. That's including the connections, I think.
where am I gonna connect?
I guess you can connect. That's a great point. Oh, I think you lose a day, maybe. It says
Oh, it
it says
might be the time change.
yes, yes. You go across the international date line. Okay. How many hours flight from Australia? We're so stupid. 10 hours, 20 minutes,
Oh,
piece of cake.
yeah,
So you're
yeah,
10 hours from Australia. And so if you fly to New York, it's probably the same, right?
probably, but
Yeah,
there's definitely
9:45. You're equidistant. One of my favorite words. You're equidistant from Hawaii, from Australia to New York. So there you go.
yeah.
Go do it in Australia.
Is there one?
Yes,
All right. Well, stay tuned, I guess.
there's there's several. Was it something you thought, I think I'll take a crack at a solo one, or you think you'll just go back for funsies with your
Um,
buddy?
I could see myself doing one someday, but not at the moment. But if
Uh,
I get really competitive and want to do that again, then I will.
but right now it's let's not do anything competitive. Let's just do fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, right now I just like I'm really enjoying trying new stuff. Like it's just fun to like step into new areas, meet new people, like connect with new brands, like that type of thing. It's just that's kind of my main focus. And I'm enjoying that at the moment and just like using my athletic abilities to kind of like see what my body can do. It's cool.
Are you going to sign up for any local like 5Ks or 10Ks?
I'm doing a half marathon in about 3 weeks.
Okay.
That and then I'll probably do a marathon at the end of the year.
Okay. So you're a real runner now, bro.
I'm a runner. Watch out, guys.
I know you're a sponsored athlete.
Yeah.
What are you running in these days?
Um, I've been, I mean, I'm not sponsored by any of the shoes I've been running in. It's been like trying out a bunch of new ones, honestly. I've really enjoyed some of the Hokas have been kind of my go-tos.
I love the Hoka. I'm a huge
Yeah.
Hoka guy. Yeah.
So I've been like breaking those in
I like the
recently.
Mach 4s are really good. The Mach 4s are my favorite
Yeah,
shoe.
I've been running in the Mach 5s. I like those too.
Um, and then it's gorgeous where you run as well,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. Makes it easy.
Yeah. Um, yeah, running is like you said, I think that's the another is like it's tough. It's kind of tough to have an easy workout. You're not gonna not sweat your ass off. You can you can have an easy run.
Yeah.
You can have a slow jog.
Mm,
So yeah, I'm a big fan of those things.
yeah.
Um, and um, you know, at one point, those of us that cover this stuff, this HYROX stuff, we really thought like we were deficient if more CrossFit people didn't come over, and now this concept of the hybrid race is really just taking on its own thing, and you're getting division one athletes from everything, from swimming, from volleyball, from everything, and so um, it's growing so fast. It's kind of all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like for a lot of athletes that do like just swimming or like CrossFit has a lot of variety in it, but it is a lot of the similar stuff. So like athletes that really do the same thing, I think it's really valuable to like do hybrid stuff. Like my training is kind of like I run, I do CrossFit, I go on a swim. Some days I just walk. Sometimes I do yoga. Sometimes I bodybuild. Like it's just a little bit of everything. And I think that's like what your body really craves. Like you don't want to continue to force it to do something that you have to do or something that like is the same. I think it's really cool to like learn new things. So I think that's where like the value of hybrid comes in.
Are you a run with headphones or not with headphones person?
Oh, run with headphones.
Music or podcasts?
Music.
What are you listening to these days?
Um,
Let me do it this way. Do you have a playlist or do you just start on Spotify or Apple Music and then just it goes where it goes?
I do have a playlist. It's called Mobbing with Mal. Pretty hype, all rap music.
Okay.
Stuff like that. But like this morning I ran to country music and sometimes
Okay.
I'll run to like really girly pop music. So
Okay.
it's kind of all over the place as long as there's music.
Right. So Mob is your brand.
Those are my initials. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, and are you doing, I saw you did put up a few of the YouTubes. Do you have any kind of plan around that?
Um, honestly, so the guy I'm working with for like my YouTube and brand stuff is just like one of my friends that I've had for a few years. So it's like really fun to be able to create together and like put out some really fun content. And honestly, like the main goal for my YouTube is like just sharing parts of myself that the world hasn't seen, like just kind of it's always just like head down, no smiling, no talking, like just work. And I feel like that's kind of been my brand unintentionally for the past few years. And now I'm like sharing, like, I am a human. I do like to do other things. I do have relationships. I do fun stuff. And, that's also part of the past year of like learning the balance. And I really enjoy sharing that. So, I mean, I definitely, a lot of YouTube videos in the future to come.
Okay. So for you, it's just, again, it's not any kind of scheduled thing. It's let's do this and kind of see how it goes. And I can figure out how to work the brands I work with into it.
Yeah, like I have the HYROX one coming out later this week. Like
We all can't wait for it.
it'll be great.
And there you have it. Thanks so much, Mal, for sitting down with me. If you're new here, welcome. You can follow this channel and also the podcast where we post a lot more content. Also the Instagram, all those links below. Love you, miss you, mean it. I've got to run.